Racism is prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, marginalization, and so on, based on categorization of race. Sexism is prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, marginalization, and so on, based on categorization of gender. Homophobia is prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, marginalization, and so on, based on a specific categorization of gender and sexuality orientation, and specifically one of these categories, or two, depending. So, what is categorism? Well, categorism is prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, marginalization, and so on, regardless of what categorization or category of people is being targeted or focused. This includes when it's turned against categories of people that doesn't even exist. Discrimination can be horrible and have devastating effects on real people's real life, even when it's because they are squeezed into a category that doesn't exist at all. I'm thinking now about witches. Not the religion called Wicca. No, I'm talking about child witches in Congo. Lots of children get murdered, and even more children get tortured because of the totally incorrect belief that they are witches. We have a really severe discrimination and bigotry and violence against witches. And witches don't even exist, not this kind of witches, but it still hurts real people. Likewise, homophobia doesn't only happen to homosexuals and bisexuals. It happens to any person who gets accused of being a homosexual. Homosexuals do exist in real life, but many people who are subjected to homophobia are not homosexual or bisexual. Many different categories of people are being targeted with categorism. In fact, there is no limit, because new categorizations are made all the time. The concept of homosexuality and heterosexuality didn't even exist 200 years ago. Of course, people who would today be categorized as homosexual or heterosexual has always existed. But this categorization has not existed. And before homosexuality as a concept was invented, there was no homophobia as such. This does not mean that free love was freely available in medieval Europe. On the contrary, if transported back in time, any heterosexual or homosexual of today would have been at high risk of facing severe persecution. It's just that this persecution would have been based on other categorizations than the dichotomy between heterosexual and homosexual. We human beings always divide ourselves and each other into different categories. And this is not a bad thing in itself. Categorization is not necessarily categorism. On the contrary, categorization can be a tool for understanding, and it's a quite necessary tool. Without categorization, we would never get an overview. However, it is our obligation to keep making our categorizations more nuanced and to not be stuck in them and not trap people in them. Categorism is when categorization turns from being a tool for understanding into instead being a mental prison or a dirty weapon.